Just read this because I think it's actually probably one of the best descriptions of the heart that I've ever run across. They taught you the heart was just a glorified meat pump, that it squeezes and pushes blood like some crude mechanical device, a hydraulic engine made of flesh. That is what they want you to believe, because if you buy into that primitive lie, you never ask deeper questions. But it is false. It has always been false. And the real science proves it. Dr. Francesco Torrenguas, a Spanish cardiac researcher, discovered what the textbooks refuse to acknowledge, that the heart is not a pump. He dissected thousands of hearts and found that the heart is a single continuous muscle band folded into a spiral. He proved that the heart works like a vortex generator, creating suction and torque, not pressure. He called it the helical ventricular myocardial band, and it changes everything. The real movement of the blood comes from pressure differentials, electromagnetic flow, and coherent resonance. The blood spirals naturally. It need not be forced through miles of arteries and capillaries. The so-called pump is not strong enough to push thick fluid through 60,000 miles of tubing. That is basic physics. That lie was dead on arrival. Here is the truth. Blood moves before the heart forms in the embryo. That is, by the way, a documented fact. It flows via frequency, resonance, and electric charge. The body is a field, not a factory. Your heart creates a toroidal electromagnetic field that radiates 6 meters from the body. This field syncs with the earth, the sun, and every living being around you. It is a resonator, a tuner, a conductor. It aligns the rhythm of your cells. It feels, it remembers, it emits, and it responds to emotion, thought, light, sound, and breath. When you feel love, grief, fear, or peace, your heart transmits it. It is the central frequency modulator of your biology, not a pump. And the institutions know this. The Heart Math Institute has measured these fields for decades. They know the heart has more neuronal cells than parts of the brain. They know it is a second brain. They know coherence in the heart transforms the entire nervous system. So why are they still teaching children a 400-year-old guess from William Harvey that has never...
Come on, man. Since when hot dogs are this cheap? Shut up! Something is going on out here, guys. I know you heard what's been going on with the meat lately, right? 1 for 50 cents, 3 for 150, 10 for $5, guys. What is going on out here, guys? How is that even possible with the bread, the ketchup, the mustard? How is that even 25 of them, guys? Are we kidding? 78 hot dogs, bro. 78 of them, bro. This gotta stop. Go ahead, get your glizzy on. Where are these hot dogs coming from? Where are these hot dogs coming from? Because last time I checked, when I went to Nathan's, hot dogs were like $5-10, bro. Something is going on here, guys, with these deals. For real. People might see this and think they're about to win or something. Something's going on here, guys, and to be honest with you, me personally, I would never eat this. I don't care if it's 50 cents. 25 hot dogs for $12.50. Shut up! Look, 78 hot dogs for $39. Something is going on here, guys. And I don't think we need that many hot dogs. Nobody needs that many hot dogs, actually. Not just playing about, guys. Entertainment purposes only. Go get your hot dogs. They're 50 cents. Something is going on here, guys. Let me know what you think, because I'll never pay 50 cents for this. I won't even pay $5 for it.
Dear feminists who are standing with the Lindsay Casey case, as a woman who cannot have children, all I have to say is this. From the bottom of my heart, F you, F everything that you have done to feminism. You say that you are fighting for women's rights and that you want to hear about women and all of this other things, but you are actually desecrating the divine feminine. The divine feminine that was meant to nurture, that was meant to heal, that was actually meant to give life. You are now saying that these women have every right to take the life that they actually gave to Earth because their freedoms and their mental health means more. We all battle with mental health. Now, if you actually followed my story, I've been through a war, I've been through a refugee camp, I have PTSD up my woo-ha-ha, if you know what I mean. I also can't have children, but I rescue animals, the worst cases, that take a lot of emotional tolls. And I also work a 15-hour day. I also ran a farm with my husband. So if any animals needed any help, I would pull all-nighters. And not in any of those days of my lowest of the low, when I was going through the deepest of depressions, did I ever think about hurting anything that I loved. So for those of you who are saying, oh, it's a concoction of the 13 medications she was on, yeah, well, she actually planned that. She wanted to spend that day out of like the mental institute, and she wanted to like spend a day with her kids for her birthday, but she sent her husband away. She spent 4 minutes per child taking their life, then decided to take her own, but she didn't succeed. So those of you mothers who openly, willingly opened your legs, and you know how the birds and the bees goes, don't tell me that like accidents happen. You know damn well what happens if you open your legs and something goes inside and something comes inside. We all know the science behind it. You are making the choice. It is your choice to have that child. And then it is your job to protect that child. Do you understand me? I don't care what the excuses are. There is no amount of medication or anything that could ever make me take a life of something that I love. And the fact that some of you as mothers are holding your own children while playing the quote of Lindsay Clancy and the things that she's saying, and yes, I understand things are overwhelmed, and yes, I understand that you have been over domesticated, and the fact that you actually don't understand what it entails for motherhood, and some of you are just playing the part like a bunch of NPCs. This is not okay. Yes, I understand, and I am very against pharma, and this is why I keep telling people not to go with pharma, because it will mess with your brain. But at the same time, this woman took 4 minutes per child. That is 12 minutes. That is not okay. You are basically saying that this woman's mental health or freedom are way more important than the 3 lives that she actually took. And this doesn't surprise me that it's in Massachusetts, the same state that has just legalized abortions all the way up till birth, which also is absolutely disgusting because you are actually taking the lives of innocent children that you brought into this world.
Anti-Semitism has been rising in San Diego and across the country. That's according to Jewish organizations and hundreds of speakers at Tuesday's San Diego City Council meeting. Liat Cohen-Reese directs a local anti-Semitism task force. She says defining it is the city's first step to better fight it.
Well, we need language. In order to understand what something is, we need a definition. We need the language.
Nearly everyone who spoke agreed anti-Semitism needs to be combated. They disagreed on how to define it. The city adopted the definition of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, or IRA. It's been adopted by dozens of countries and cities across the U.S., including Los Angeles, Chula Vista, and El Cajon. It says anti-Semitism is, quote, a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred. It includes 11 examples. 7 of them involve the state of Israel. Critics say the language has been used to silence criticism of Israel and support for Palestinians. One of those critics is Jewish council member Sean Elo Rivera. He says people must be allowed to both love Jewish people and speak freely against actions by the Israeli government.
A definition that cannot hold both of these things at once is not a tool for fighting anti-Semitism. It is a tool for silencing people who care about everyone.
He urged the council to consider other definitions, but he was outvoted 8-1. For more on this debate and to read the full definition, visit kpbs.org. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
Chick-fil-A, once again, has a lot of explaining to do. And why do I say that? Because more and more videos are surfacing of individuals showing how their chicken is rubbery in texture. You heard what I said. They're pulling the chicken apart and it's rubbery in texture. Have a look at this video for yourself.
I used to eat at Chick-fil-A so often it was disgusting. But y'all, this is why I never go anymore. Because the chicken is like rubber. It's disgusting. Literally,
Just take a look at that right there for yourself. It pulls apart as if it was rubber. And there are so many videos that are coming out showing how extremely stringy and rubbery Chick-fil-A's chicken really is. And this right here is most likely because of the chickens that they're using, because this did not happen when they first opened a lot of their locations, and it's happening now like crazy. And also keep this in the back of your mind, their chicken is injected with water solutions and all sorts of other additives as well. And don't forget preservatives, which can actually amount to approximately 15% of that chicken itself. So a lot of people have been taking to social media and claiming that they will no longer be going to Chick-fil-A to get chicken sandwiches. So I guess my question to you is, have you been there lately and have you experienced this? And after seeing this, would you plan on going there? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to.
When there is a war, it doesn't matter who your enemy is, you need to destroy their offspring to prevent them from creating more offspring.
So you dehumanize a group of people in human society and you prepare them for the kill, for the butchery.
But it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it.
The way we solve anti-Semitism is pretty goddamn simple.
Take control over what they are saying.
Send their ass to jail. It's not complicated.
And quickly before it's too late.
We're monitoring political Islamists and Christian nationalists, all of them. And then we train. We're the largest trainer of law enforcement in America. Extremism hate. We train 20,000 officers every year.
Try that again.
Here because of the comments made online about the Jewish community.
We deeply value our partnership with law enforcement. We've been working with them literally since the FBI was founded in the 1930s.
Is that your account?
We're going to have a whole division within the office of the Special Envoy to combat anti-Semitism that is going to work on technology.
We must take all of our technological expertise and all of our available resources to develop methods to launch and win a significant counter-information campaign.
Because it's not working. Too many young people have never heard of the Holocaust.
The only solution right now is for the governments to decide that all the Jews are a protected minority. That means that the government will be obliged to provide the security.
Upgrades to security. Jewish community shouldn't have to be paying for it. We have to pay for our own armed guards? Are you serious?
Any candidate running for a seat in this building, whether for Congress or Senate, we will target them as they target us. Accordingly, we will start a fund to help their opponents.
I'll make a warning to somebody else, and that's American Gentiles. The minute your country is taken over by anti-Semitism, the minute you start to be a country that's not blessing Israel but cursing Israel, you have begun the process of shrinking away from your empire. The Jewish project is done, we're gonna be fine.
For decades, American society allowed Jews to live normal lives. This was a pleasant holiday from our destiny. The holiday is over.
The Western culture that stands against the Jews is going down. The West will survive only if it decides to love itself and if it decides to love us, the Jewish people.
The Jewish people are not normal. We never really were.
And now that Israel has turned the entire geopolitical situation on its head, our job in the diaspora is to leverage those wins and win here. Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there.
When you get ready to come in that hip-hop era, Diddy gonna get you. Especially if you think you look like something. He wants some of that booty, man. Those the dude he's popping. When P. Diddy is on his yacht or whatever he's doing, it'd be smooth-faced dudes with glasses. Now, ask yourself this. Why do these dudes wear dark Gucci shades in the middle of the night? Because the eyes are the window to the soul. They're evil as hell, man.
Do you see Sabrina Carpenter making out with an alien right here? Don't you understand? This is Genesis 6, a parallel. It's them showing you like what happened with the fallen angels when they came down and had children with the women right on stage for all to see, because that's exactly what happened. The Bible says that the fallen angels, or the angels, took to themselves wives because they thought the women were fair. Biblically speaking, taking wives means to know each other, if you get what I'm saying. And that the offspring of these angels and these women were the men of renown. They were the giants. And God saw the wickedness in the land. The whole chapter is about the corruption of mankind. And of course, the wicked cult shows us that because these fallen angels are their deities. They are their lowercase g gods, going back to the beginning of time. Now, just for fun, the alien is not automatically a fallen angel. The graves, as we know them, are flesh suits that hold the spirits of demons created by the fallen angels and mankind. Then you get the fallen angels that take on many different forms and they can change their shape, if you get what I'm saying. Also, when they fell, they took on the form of a reptile, which is why all ancient cultures worship these reptile deities that...
A girl named Donna looks after her 89-year-old grandfather, Paul. And one night, while she's in the kitchen making food, her and her grandfather hear something strange in one of the rooms. But as they find nothing, they go back to what they're doing when it's heard again. A female voice is heard saying what sounds like "help me." After that, Paul feels compelled to walk around the room investigating it, despite usually not moving much and trying to avoid the room as it brings him sadness. But even so, he finds nothing there. Even stranger is that they have 4 CCTV cameras, one in each room, and only the one in this room picked up the voice, which just happens to be the room his wife passed away in 1 year ago. So did his wife call out for help one last time?
I wanted you to know that I'm not dying.
Dolly Parton est morte entre 2 éclipses, la saison des sacrifices. En gématria, Dolly Parton égale 825, et elle meurt le 25 août, 8-25. Elle est aussi née à 8h25. Son album Jolene dure exactement 25 minutes et 8 secondes. Le 25 août, c'est aussi l'anniversaire de Billy Cyrus. Dolly était la marraine de sa fille, Miley Cyrus.
And I'm proud to be your fairy godmother.
Et le jour de sa mort, Miley annonce sa nouvelle ère, avec une vidéo de New York et un ciel rouge, symbole de sacrifice.
August 25th, this particular date has been important to me personally and in my career.
Quelques jours plus tôt, c'était Hayden Panettiere, celle de la série Heroes, où le logo est une éclipse. Celle qui jouait aussi dans Nashville. Dolly meurt à Nashville. Hayden a également tourné dans Souvenez-vous des Titans. Les Tennessee Titans jouent à Nashville. Et l'équipe appelait Dolly le 12e Titan, photographié dans une loge maçonnique. Elle a demandé le nouveau-né de Taylor Swift.
Taylor and Travis, it's Dolly. When you have the firstborn, can I have it?
Un vrai symbole de sacrifice d'enfant. Elle a promu le vaccin.
Vaccine, 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 vaccine.
Parce que c'était une marionnette maçonnique. Dolly Parton signifie poupée en pièces. Celle qu'on assemble, qu'on utilise et puis qu'on jette.
I hate playing with dolls.
Et maintenant qu'elle a fini son rôle, Miley Cyrus entre dans une nouvelle ère.
You cannot have a legitimate discussion about climate change unless you discuss climate engineering first and foremost. You can't eliminate the biggest part of the puzzle of all. These people have to be held accountable. Raytheon, one of the largest weather modification players, does all the weather modeling for the National Weather Service and NOAA. You have the foxes quite literally running the henhouse. Lockheed Martin does all the modeling for the FAA. We have a lot of disaster capitalists on this. As I mentioned, Monsanto, we have weather trading derivatives going on. So while they're trying to hide the full scope of damage with climate engineering by doing even more damage at the same time from the same programs, they're also running gaming casinos on the stock market for weather trading derivatives. So they decide whose crops fail, whose don't. They decide who gets rain, who doesn't. They decide how toxic that rain is. Nobody has a right to experiment on us in this manner, and the media's betrayal is astounding.
The federal government just proposed forcing Arizona, California, and Nevada to cut their water use, and Nevada's governor is saying that it's unrealistic and devastating. So Lake Mead is the biggest reservoir in the country, and it's about only a quarter full, and it just passed the record low that it set back in 2022. They're saying that it's dropped 14 feet in the last year alone, and the basin just had the worst snowpack ever recorded, and they're saying that it keeps falling from here. 40 million people across 7 different states get their water out of that river, and that includes includes Las Vegas, Phoenix, LA, and San Diego. At around 1,000 feet, Hoover Dam starts shutting off turbines and loses about 70% of its power, and it's less than 5 feet from that right now. So the federal government has now stepped in, and they're proposing to cut off Arizona, California, and Nevada by up to 3 million acre-feet per year, which is enough water for 25 million people. Nevada's governor called it unrealistic and devastating, Arizona called it flawed, and these states have already blown past 2 deadlines on their own. Where is all of the water going?
These 3 companies have officially sold lab-grown food to consumers, likely unknowingly. Unless you're super researching all the time, you would have no idea you consumed some lab-grown stuff. Listen to this so that you can be informed and consume more of it in the future if you want, or avoid it entirely. First, we have Breyers, which I wasn't surprised because I do know that there's many different ice cream brands out there that legally can't call themselves ice cream because they don't have enough actual dairy in the product. But in this case, they call it an animal-free dairy dessert. And they made it using, they don't call it lab-grown, of course. They call it precision fermentation, and that precision fermentation happens in a laboratory. Next, we have Starbucks, who in 2021 in Seattle tested at 2 different stores lab-grown milk just to put the feelers out there, see how people react to it. And again, this is what they call it, precision fermentation. You got to watch out. It's the same thing with GMO stuff now. They don't call it GMO. They call it biofortified. And then, of course, you have one of people's favorite mega corporations who love water and our access to water, Nestle. Now, in late 2022, Nestle launched a test product called Cowabunga, an animal-free milk made with, again, precision fermentation in a laboratory. So if you were in San Francisco in 2022 and you went to Safeway and you bought Cowabunga, you were part of the study. Now, many different companies right now are investing in and pioneering and paving the way for a future where seemingly things can just be grown in a lab and you don't need to worry about food coming from an actual animal or a plant. Instead, it will be a different kind of plant. Factory plant action. But let me know your thoughts. Is this a good thing, or should we be going more organic and natural? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And
guys, the moon is about to turn red all across America tomorrow night, and you need to make sure that you do not forget. The eclipse is going to be happening tomorrow night on Thursday, August the 27th, and it's going to peak at 12:12 a.m. Eastern, 11:12 Central, and 9:12 p.m. on the West Coast. If you don't already know this, it goes that color because the only sunlight that's going to be reaching it has to bend through our atmosphere first, so we're going to be looking at every single sunrise and every single sunset on Earth all at once. Guys, if you want to make sure that you do not miss it and you're able to actually see it tomorrow, I'm obviously going to be using all of my telescopes that are behind me, and I'm also going to remind you one last time. So obviously make sure you go ahead and follow me now if you don't want to forget, and also if you want to see the cool photos I get. The coolest thing about this is that you do not need any special glasses or any special telescopes at all, because unlike a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse is completely safe to look at. The next total lunar eclipse that's going to be happening anywhere on Earth isn't until New Year's Eve of 2028, so if you don't want to forget, make sure you go ahead and
want to know a secret.
We are on a path to creating a world where man can control machine through thoughts alone. But if we can control machine, can machine also control us? Could we all become robo-humans?
Initiating satellite scan. Do you want to know a secret?
Automated computers, supercomputer software programming will manipulate the emotions and the behavior and the thoughts of everybody in the United States of America, and it can all be done remotely.
Scientists can now connect your brain to a computer, and it can all be done wirelessly. Is this a world we want? Because it's coming true.
Do you want to know a secret?
The New World Order, this entire, control grid that's supposed to be rolled out against the American people someday, I'm here to tell you that it's already here.
The victim is remotely tied to this supercomputer, which uses physical and psychological trauma, torture, to map out and reverse engineer the sensory and neural pathways of the victim's brain and central nervous system. It's brutal, brutal torture. Brutal torture. Unlike anything you can imagine, you can't negotiate with a computer. You can't compromise with a computer. You can't surrender to a computer. The computer will continue to do what it's programmed to do.
The multiple systems can focus on isolating an individual, group, community, or large population by algorithm. The directed energy weapon attack system also employs phased array cellular tower antennas as biosensors, transmitters, and receivers, capable of operation from computerized portable systems as close as neighboring locations. Satellites link the sender and the receiver. U. A computer multiplexer routes the voice signal of the sender through microwave towers to a very specific defined location, or cell. The receiver is located and tracked with pinpoint accuracy.
Take out those cameras.
Neighbor, we got some work to do.
Does the United States government have a plan for a potential zombie apocalypse? Well, the answer is yes and no. Let me explain. So, the government doesn't have a real zombie apocalypse plan, but they created a fictional one. In their words, to help teach or train the military in certain situations. It's called Con-Plan 888. You can see it up there. And it's basically a strategic command document. Also, the Center for Disease Control has something called Preparedness 101, which is about a possible zombie apocalypse outbreak. Yeah, so that's two different government agencies saying they're not doing it, but they're kind of doing it at the same time. If a zombie apocalypse does happen, which I don't think it will, let me tell you my plan. I'm gonna stay locked in my apartment, barricade the door till the food and water run out. Once that happens, there's a couple convenience stores within a mile or so of me, and I'll go raid them. No reason for zombies to go to convenience stores. They don't eat canned SpaghettiOs like I do. Then after that, whatever happens, happens. So yeah, the answer to the question of, does the United States government have a plan for a zombie apocalypse, is yes and no. Till next time, Shabadoo-booshkis,
The next time you head to McDonald's to get your kids chicken nuggets, you may want to cut them up before you let them eat them. And why do I say that? Because a father took his son to McDonald's to get some chicken nuggets like a lot of parents do. They got home and the child took a bite into one of the nuggets, and take a look at what he found inside. Check that out.
So my son was just now eating McDonald's. Took a bite out of his chicken nugget. Guys, what is that? What the fuck is that? This is what I pulled out of the chicken nugget from McDonald's.
Just unbelievable once again, something inside of the chicken nuggets. Take a look at how sharp that is. Thankfully, that child didn't lose a tooth or swallow that. And it does once again look like something that is used to hold the cardboard container closed, I'm assuming. Or maybe it was something from the plant when it was manufactured, but that was baked right into the chicken nugget. So once again, another reason to maybe stop eating fast food, or if you do, start cutting things up into little pieces and taking a look inside before you hand it over to your child. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and as always, I'd love.
Does anyone else find this strange? Peter Cullen passes away. Yet another celebrity has passed away. And he was best known for voicing Optimus Prime. And again, what is up with all of these people passing away days apart from each other? Now, I know it's life. Things do happen, right? But something seems off about this, and it seems like it started with Hayden Panettiere, and now look at all of these people that are just passing away left and right. because even Samuel Monroe Jr. passed away. Now, Peter Cullen passed away actually on August 26th, but Samuel Monroe Jr. passed away on the 27th, and both people passing away were announced on the same date. I don't know, just something really seems off about all of these celebrities passing away days apart from each other. I mean, you have to admit something weird is definitely going on. I mean, anymore, something weird is definitely going on, because this is just very bizarre stuff that is going on, that is happening. And again, RIP to all of these people passing away, but something just seems off. And I know I can't be the only one out there that feels this way. What do you think?
At least listen, people. The U.S. Army had a plan to bore a tunnel into the wall, but they didn't have a boring machine that could handle the super cold temperatures, so they had a whole testing project in Greenland where they developed ice tunnels and invented new boring machines that could operate in super cold temperatures. So this was back when they were going into forming NASA and all the other things that were kind of strange, the Antarctic Treaty, around that time, pretty close to it. And he says, like they did this whole big thing in Greenland for just practice. So it was like they were practicing to bore into the sky ice. And once they had the new boring machine figured out, they brought it to the wall in Antarctica. He said that the machine bored a tunnel like 5 or 10 miles into the wall, but that they never broke through the other side of the wall, and that they still don't know how thick the wall is even to this day. First, the floor of the tunnel was solid rock, but after a mile or two in, the floor was sky ice, like it was sky ice underneath after a certain point. And apparently the wall slowly builds itself back up after you cut it, because after a year or so, the tunnel had shrunk smaller all by itself, like a self-healing wound. It starts closing up. They had to leave the boring machine inside the wall because the tunnel shrunk too small to get it back out. And after a few decades, the tunnel was completely gone, like the part of the wall was solid again. He said that now the scientists were trying to use technology to figure out how thick the wall is. He said something about putting earthquake sensors all along the wall, and that somehow you could measure the signal from an earthquake to see how thick the wall is. But I didn't think it was a big deal at the time. But then a few weeks ago I saw a map of the wall in Antarctica, except the map was all flat and crazy looking, and it showed the wall going all the way up over the whole Earth.
Oh shit. Alright, you ain't ready for this. Hold on. Notice how it's from 1887? Yep. Yep. American Antiquities and Discoveries in the West by Josiah Priest from 1835. Now, me personally, this is going to have to stay in the library, so we're just going to come right over here. There we go. Just so people know. You ready for this one? You think we should start the convolution of the globe, which separated America from the two continents east and west of it, and of the removal of large islands. Nope, we're going to start with the traits of ancient cities of the Mississippi. Nearly opposite St. Louis, there are traces of two ancient cities in the distance of a few miles situated in the Cahokia Creek, which empties into the Mississippi. But a short distance below that place, here is situated one of those pyramids, which is 150 rods in circumference at its base, nearly half a mile, and 100 feet high. At St. Louis is one with two stages or landing places. As the architectural phrase is, there is another with three stages at the mouth of the Missouri, a few miles above St. Louis. With respect to the stages or landing places of these pyramids, we are reminded of the tower once standing in Old Babylon, which had 8 stages from its base to the summit, making it 600 feet high. At the mouth of the Cahokia Creek, a short distance below St. Louis, are 2 groups of those mounds of similar size, but we are not informed of their exact number. Baton Rouge are several mounds, of which is composed chiefly of shells, which the inhabitants burn into lime. There is a mound on the Black River, which has 2 stages or stories that is surrounded with a group of lesser ones, as well as the Bayou Baton Rouge. There is one of those pyramids near Washington in the state of Mississippi, which is 140 feet high, which is a little short of 9 rods perpendicular elevation and 56 rods in circumference. Mr. Breckenridge is one of the opinion of the largest city belonging to this people, and the authors of the mounds and other works was situated on the plains between St. Francis and the Arkansas. There is no doubt in the neighborhood of St. Louis must have been cities of large towns of these ancient people, and the number and size of the mounds above recounted would most certainly justify. 15 miles in a southwesterly direction from the town of St. Louis on the Merrimack River was discovered by a Mr. Long on lands which he had purchased there. Several mounds of the ordinary size as found in the valley of the Mississippi, all of which go to establish that this country, lying between the Missouri and the Mississippi rivers below St. Louis and between junction of Illinois and the Mississippi above, with the whole region about union of those rivers which with each other, which are all not far from St. Louis, was once the seat of empire, equal, if not surpassing, the population and arts, as once they flourished on the plains of Shinar, the seat of Chaldean power, and on the banks of the Euphrates. Should we read about the original Mexicans?
So let me get this straight. We send our children, the most precious thing we have in life, to spend 15 years of their lives inside an institution. Sitting at a desk all day, under artificial light, eating processed food in a cafeteria, while they are taught to memorize useless facts, and punished if they think differently instead of asking questions. Where's the class on nutrition, on stress management, on financial education? When do they teach us about taxes or our rights as citizens? Never. We're not educated to think. We're trained to obey. And that's why you have to raise your hand to go to the bathroom, stand in line, and above all, never question the rules. Doesn't that sound strangely familiar? It sounds a lot like another place where people spend all day inside a building. They are told when they can eat, when they can go outside, and they're punished for questioning the authority, A prison. The truth is that the education system was founded and designed by the same family that revolutionized the medical system in the early 1900s. And obviously not for the benefits of our children, but to create obedient workers who serve the system without asking questions. And those aren't my words. John D. Rockefeller himself reportedly said, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." So maybe the real question is this education system designed to benefit our children or to the power and control of those who created it?
I noticed something last week. As I was driving home from work, a lot of the leaves on the trees in upstate New York are turning red and orange. Now, this was the middle of August. People say there's no such thing as climate change. I don't know exactly what it is. Is it manipulation with the weather? But at night, it's like friggin' 40 to 50 degrees. It's almost cold enough where you need to be wearing like a jacket. Middle of August. Do you remember up till like middle of September, it could be like 80 degrees every day? Right now it's like in the 70s, but at night it gets cold and damp. It literally feels like it's late October. What's going on? Why is the weather so weird lately? And why are the trees changing? Like, I'm looking around and like the woods near my house, and they're turning yellow and orange and red. It's weird. Every year it's like winter gets earlier and earlier. Has anybody noticed that the weather feels off lately? The temperature and like the humidity just feels cooler and colder like fall. But why? I don't ever remember this happening before.
Are you a trans woman?
Well, I want to make this very clear.
Are you a trans woman?
Listen, Section 13
right? Article 13, Section 1 says if you identify as a woman, then you're allowed to play.
So you are identifying as a woman tonight?
I identify as a woman, sure, yes.
Okay.
So I can play.
But they're never going to let you play.
Why not? I mean, that's the rule. That's the rule that they put, and I'm just following the rules. If they ever come out and say, okay, we are changing the rules, I respect their decision. I will, follow the rules. But right now, if you identify as a woman, you're allowed to play. And I am identifying as a woman, and I am actually allowed to play.
Well, apparently if we would have just done this one thing, we could still have airships. Y'all like the video and check this out.
Hydrogen is dangerous. If we had stuck to helium, we could have had our airships. But it was planned, and we all know absolutely right. Hindenburg was the big match that lit off that whole planned narrative with the airships. They banned essentially any imports of helium into Germany. So Germany had to switch to the much more dangerous hydrogen, and combine that with the perfect spectacle of the Hindenburg disaster, all perfectly caught and choreographed on film with the whole humanity line added in for good measure. And then they were able to ground our beautiful airships. And we could have had, and we did have, I believe airships were around for so long, a lot longer than they told us. That's what built all these beautiful structures in some of the most remote regions across the world, which would be impossible for that period to, with horse and buggy, hammer and chisel, would have been very easy to build and bring in materials by airship. That's why all these remote regions have these beautiful structures that would be difficult even.
Oh, that makes sense.
These beautiful lighthouses we talked about. Those lighthouses were mooring stations for these airships.
All right, so let me get this straight. Now that I pissed off all the Christians, right? I pissed off all the Christians, because don't worry, after I'm done with the Christians things, the next people is Islam, then after that is Buddhism, all of them, okay? I'm gonna get all of y'all, all right? Because I told you, they're trying to create, through religion, which is known as religion, they're trying to create a force so great. Y'all, it's just y'all Christians, I'm attacking y'all Christians now, right? Just wait until I get to everybody else. Don't worry, Christians, you're almost done. I promise you. I'm just trying to tell you the flaw in religion. They're trying to create a legion, an army to fight against the Most High. It's that simple. But hold on. So something that I was thinking about, is the Rockefellers. And I know all y'all conspiracy theorists is going to be like, oh my gosh, he's talking about the, he's back, baby, he's back. Aaron's on the roof. Shut the hell up. I played every last one of y'all. I used the fresh bag of chips and all that other stuff. It's easy to talk about conspiracy. Why? Because it doesn't expose you. Yeah. See, you know who it exposes? It exposes the elites. You think they give a damn? That's why you're always saying, oh, they got him and all this other stuff. The moment I start exposing you, but hear me out. The Rockefellers created the school system. From K all the way down to Yale University, Skull and Bones. Come on now. Come on, Harvard University, COVID. You see what I'm saying? Lieberman, China. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They own all of these things, right? We all can expose that. But the moment that I start exposing that those very same people, the ones that crucified Yahusha, that run this whole world, that run the actual institutions that you send your child to, are also running the church, now I'm the bad guy. So everything else on this planet we could talk about, but when it comes to the church, it's taboo. Man, the deception is going to be so great, it's going to deceive your stupid ass.
Now, Senator Hanson, migration numbers. Can you clear this up? It's been an issue this week. What are your migration numbers policy?
130,000
of what?
Net migration in the country. So they
That's it. It's not going to move from that. Your net migration, those people who we're going to say, okay, you can come into the country, we're going to give you a permanent residency, that you can move on to citizenship. That's at 130,000. On top of that, you can have your palm workers, you can have your visa holders and different ones in the country. So what you need to do is you have a set figure. It will bring down the number of people in the country by all means. We might have negative because more people leaving the country than coming in.
But it's not a set figure if you also don't have a cap on your visas.
Your visa's going to be looked at, but see, visa holders are a totally different category. We're talking about permanent residents that are going to move on to citizenship in the country. So your visas are totally different. So you have.
So it's more than 130,000.
Correct, because your palm workers, rural and regional Australia would die if they didn't have the workers coming in, and especially the abattoirs and the farmers. So that's a different program. These people are given accommodation by the farming sector and the businesses that employ them. So that's not the big impact here.
So was David Farley wrong or right this week?
David Farley he didn't understand. He got confused about the visa holders because he went on to say palm workers. As I've always said, palm workers is the visa holders that can come into the country. They're provided accommodation usually by those on the farms. They're not taking up the housing.
Bibliothèque François Mitterrand, il me semble que c'est 71. Impressionnant. Un à Saint-Germain et un maintenant à la bibliothèque.
The pharmaceutical industry might have a very big problem on their hands. Apparently, Japan has just become the first major country to approve what people have been calling medbeds. From this September, electromagnetic frequency regeneration chambers are supposed to be rolling out across hundreds of hospitals in Japan. And as you can imagine, this hasn't gone down too well. The claim is that parts of the pharmaceutical industry have warned that this kind of technology could be an endangerment to public health. Which raises an interesting question. If a technology is helping people recover more quickly and dramatically reducing the costs of treatment, who exactly is being endangered? Japan has one of the oldest populations in the world. And if they effectively switched to medbeds, the estimated saving is around $430 billion a year in healthcare costs. America alone spends over $6 billion a year on pharmaceutical advertising. And then there's something else. India is already trialling similar technology. It only takes one country to start. Then another follows, and another, until you have a domino effect. And perhaps That's the real threat. Not to public health, but to the pharmaceutical industry itself.
I don't fear death.
No way.
I try to avoid it. As I think we all do. But I suspect that in the end I will welcome it.
That interview was from 2025. Rest in peace, Tim Curry. This is kind of strange, guys. I ain't gonna front. I'm not sure why him and Dolly did an interview similar to that, talking about not being here anymore, right? Something is going on here, guys. People are saying that they passed away on the same day and they were the same age. Something is up, but I don't think nothing is up. Rest in peace, Tim Curry. I remember the role he played in Scary Movie, right? I remember the role he played in Home Alone, right? This dude was a legend, but something's going on here, guys. Rest in peace to Tim Curry. I know he was going through a lot, so I don't think anything's going on. This is what people are saying, and people be saying anything. Shh! Shut up! I don't know. But that interview was kind of strange. Allegedly. This is what people are saying. If you ask me, that was a normal interview. But I guess it kind of feels like that they knew they were going to leave. I mean, they were older and they were going through some health issues. That's what I heard. But of course, guys, entertainment purposes only. I'm just letting y'all see what he was talking about before he left this earth. Let me know what you think about this, guys, because I don't know what to think. This is kind of strange. Kind of. Not fully.
Hey, what's up, America? I just want to say one thing about Lindsay Clancy. You know, fuck Lindsay Clancy. What a piece of shit. I mean, I'm serious. She murders her 3 children because of postpartum depression, and we've got people out there defending this psycho. Stop defending Lindsay Clancy, you stupid fucking derelicts. She doesn't get a pass because she had postpartum depression. She murdered her 3 children by choking them out, probably watching the light go out of their eyes while she was doing it. And you're dressing in pink saying, "We are Lindsay." What, a murdering psycho? I mean, have you seen this bitch in the courtroom? She looks like there's some demons inside of her. She doesn't even have pupils. It's just black windows. Clearly, there's something deranged up there, and I'm not talking just mental illness. This bitch is demon possessed. Fucking clearly. Take a look. But for the love of God, stop defending Lindsay Clancy, you stupid bitches. She murdered her children. Murdered them. It wasn't her husband's fault. It wasn't the nurses, the doctors, society. It was her fault for murdering her kids. Pull your head out of your anuses. We're not gonna normalize this crap. You normalized late-term abortion in Massachusetts. Now what are you doing? Normalizing toddler murder? Yeah, we're not doing this. Go fuck yourself, you psychos. If you support Lindsay Clancy, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, block me and get the fuck away from me. You're fucking deranged, psycho.
What is going on with Ariana Grande, guys? People are saying that she's doing something here. Allegedly, she's not doing nothing. It seems like she's meditating with a rock in front of her. Something is going on here, guys. I'm telling you. Remember? Shh! Shut up! Something is up. And people been saying this for a while, but like I said, if you ask me, it's all good. They just hanging out. Shh! It's a secret. Keep it on the low. It's not a game out here, guys. Something is up with Ariana Grande. She hasn't been the same for a while now. Allegedly, this is what people are saying. If you ask me, it's the same person, same vibe. I wonder what's bothering her ears. People are saying that it was a bell sound. If you ask me, that's not true. If you ask me, it was just loud in there. What really happened to Ariana Grande? Because these two people look different. I mean, they look different. It's the same person. I mean, she still could sing, right? You know why? Because this video is for entertainment purposes only, guys. And this is Ariana Grande. Everybody changes. Nobody stays the same no matter what you think about it. I don't know what to think. Let me know what you think.
Something very strange is happening on this island right now. 4 people have been found dead in just 3 days and thousands have gone missing. But that is not even the strangest part. A police sergeant was arrested this week after being caught lying to families about their missing loved ones, saying that they were safe, only for them to be found dead months later. And now everyone's asking, why the hell would police even lie about something like this? You see, this is Jeju Island. It has a population of just over 500,000 and it's one of South Korea's most popular tourist destinations. But right now, it's caught up in a major scandal. Since 2023, 3,000 people have gone missing on this island. And while the vast majority of these cases have been resolved, it came to light this week that local police had closed approximately 10 cases, assuring their loved ones that this missing person was safe, only for them to be later found dead. This has prompted authorities to investigate the nearly 300 cases handled by this sergeant, all while 4 of his superiors have also been suspended. But the strangest part is that no one even knows why he did it. In fact, other officers have spoken to the media saying it makes no sense. One said there's absolutely nothing to gain from rushing to close a missing person's case. And while this mystery is now triggering conspiracies online of a serial killer or trafficking cover-ups, some experts are suggesting that the officer just got lazy, since roughly 99% of missing cases in Korea are solved within a month. And now authorities are having to go back through thousands of missing person cases to figure out just how deep this actually.
August 18th, the White House just released its new National Security Science and Technology Strategy, and we should all be terrified. I'm gonna walk through exactly what their plans are, and it is worse than what we thought. Your face, your brain, your identity, your very thoughts that you have within your mind. Swarm technology for AI agents. If you wanna read it for yourself, this is exactly what you're gonna type in. We're gonna start on page 20, but there is a lot of concerning things leading up to this page, but this is where we're gonna start, okay? Autonomous AI agents that are capable of perception, recognition, sensor fusion, planning, reasoning, decision-making, multi-agent systems, and swarm intelligence. Autonomous identification and authentication. Synthetic biology. Protein design, synthesis, and engineering, neurotechnologies, brain-computer interfaces. Bunch of stuff about 6G, which, by the way, they also announced that they're going to start the demonstrations for 6G at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. By the way, the brain-computer interfaces, just so anybody that doesn't know, can be one way or two way. One way is where they just read the electrical activity within your brain, but the two-way can send signals back to your brain, which could then essentially implant a bias within your brain, right? It can control the stress response within your body. It goes on to talk about continuous monitoring. There's literally saying the quiet parts out loud. AI-enabled and autonomous cyber capabilities. Digital identity technology and biometrics, which we've been screaming from the rooftops. This is not only what they are interested in right now, but this has become their primary focus, and this quite literally, they just released it to the public. Would encourage you to go read this. There's a lot I'm not saying on here for sake of keeping the video short. Love you so much. Stay safe.
They called it Nightmare Hall, and what allegedly happened inside this underground base is total nightmare fuel. And this is, of course, all alleged for entertainment purposes only. So this starts back in the 1970s, when there were several UFO sightings and bizarre cattle attacks started to be reported in the small town of Dulce, New Mexico, especially near the Archuleta Mesa. Shortly afterwards, this businessman and electronics specialist from Albuquerque, Paul Benowitz, became convinced that something much bigger was going on. He claimed that he was seeing strange aerial objects, UFOs, around Kirtland Air Force Base, and was also intercepting these unusual electronic signals that he eventually connected to this underground installation, supposedly, that he believed was near Dulce. Now, this wasn't just some bunker. After rumors of the secret base began to circulate, a security officer named Thomas Costello came forward claiming that he actually worked at the base. He said this place had very strange things going on, and the deeper you went, the worse it got. According to Costello, the Dulce base is this 7-level underground complex, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Not only do secret military programs take place there, but it's also where they work side by side with non-human intelligences. Kind of like a real-life Raccoon City, but with aliens. Now, the top levels of this base were pretty standard. You'd have your security level, technology level, science projects, but when you got down to level 6, that's where things started to get dark. That level became known among facility personnel as Nightmare Hall. And this was where the base's most disturbing experiments were kept. According to Costello, he described horrific experiments going on. Rows of containment tanks holding malformed humanoid beings, human-animal hybrids, and other biological creations at different stages of development. and even more sinister stuff. And if you thought that was crazy, in 1993, a man named Phil Schneider came forward claiming to have worked on the building of this base and what happened supposedly beneath Dulce in 1979. Schneider wound up speaking at several conferences for a couple of years, telling his story of his crew drilling underground when they unexpectedly broke into this enormous pre-existing cavern. But when they got down there, what he found was that there was someone already there. It turned out to be these tall, gray alien entities. Schneider said he opened fire on these creatures and was hit by some kind of blue energy weapon. He wound up losing a bunch of his fingers and suffered severe injuries to his chest, while roughly 60 or so military personnel were taken out. Schneider also claimed that there were several attempts on his life for speaking out about this. And in January 1996, he was found dead in his apartment under some pretty suspicious circumstances. So what do you think? Is this all just a UFO urban legend? Or was there really something happening between the town of Dulce?
Watch this footage closely because you may miss it. The following footage was captured by a drone over the Rotovia dos Imigrantes near the area of Cotatau, Brazil. The object is moving so fast it looks like a blur, so I have slowed the video down. And what we see is something unidentified in its oval shape. It looks like a disc with a light underneath. Take a look at this footage, watch it carefully, and tell us what you think.
If you walked into a restaurant and took a look in the kitchen and saw dirty, greasy cardboard on top of food being served, what would you do and how would you handle it? And why do I say that? Because that's exactly what happened to a couple of ladies that were going to get a bite to eat at a Texas roadhouse. They walked in, took a look behind the counter, and saw boxes on top of cooked food. Have a look at this video for yourself. Have a look right above that young lady's head right there. You'll see a gentleman with thongs in his hand grabbing cardboard boxes off of cooked food. And those boxes appear to be full of grease. I've paused the video and took a screenshot. Take a look at that right there. Those appear to be used or dirty cardboard containers sitting on top of fresh food. And there you can actually see after he lifts one, there is food in trays right underneath that. And there's another look right there of the food and more cardboard trays on top. And like I've emphasized, I don't work for Texas Roadhouse, so whoever does, please let me know if this is normal. What is that all about? Just take a look at it once again. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments as to what you think this is. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Even the story about how they met, like none of that even lines up. She saw him first at the Western Wall, at the Wailing Wall. And she told her mom, like, oh, I like that guy. He's cute.
I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me. And in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time.
Here's this blonde chick. She used to do Trump's pageants. She's done, work in Romania as mission work, and
that's a little weird.
Her dad specifically was a major part of Raytheon, the big defense contractor. He was president of the Israel division.
Wow.
He was institutional in the Iron Dome missile defense system for Israel. Even like the weird part where she lied about having not dated anybody. Why are you lying about those things publicly? Or the videos about, she's like, oh, I never drank. I never went out.
She's out getting wasted.
Yeah, and there's videos of it. And it's like, how stupid are you?
Obviously not a trustworthy girl.
And she don't even have blue eyes. Did you see the yearbook pictures?
No.
Brown eyes. She wears blue contacts.
The hell? That's like
weird. And this was confirmed. It wasn't like an AI thing because I double checked it.
Everything about this case, Turning Point, is just so bizarre.
man in Arkansas says that his entire reality in their town, their small town in Arkansas, is being generated by the data center there. Tell me more! According to this man, we'll say his name's David, he had a weird experience happen that only him, as well as his friend, as well as his daughter, seem to recollect. Meaning, they live in a town where a data center was put, and they were all offered the dream to have this data center there. Meaning, new theaters, new food places, just all these things that will make this town hoppin'. They get all these things and they hear this weird humming sound all the time from the data center, and everybody says it's not even just the sound, it's like you feel the hum. One day they're at the movie theater as a family and they're watching this movie. The data center powers off and powers down and they can hear it happening clear across town. But of course this isn't the movie going down, this was the data center. They said when this data center powered down, they could see themselves inside of this weird concrete room, not in a movie theater. Many people around them were wearing weird gray t-shirts with numbers on the back of them. As soon as the data center powered back on, things went back to normal and everybody continued to laugh at the movie as if nothing happened. He then also got a call from one of his buddies that was at the steakhouse saying that when it powered down, they were not in a steakhouse but in some strange place as well, that his food wasn't steak, but it was some weird looking tofu. Okay.
Vaginas, right? As a man, right? I see a vagina, I think of pleasure, right? Now I have two daughters who's running around the house with no panties on. I'm changing diapers and all of that, so the vagina's directly in my face, and I need to reconstruct my mind to what a vagina means and also what's my relationship to it.
As someone who has spent the last few years working on 2 different documentary series exposing historical pedophile rings, a video like this really stuck out to me. I was absolutely shocked when I saw this, and it brought to mind an important issue that I felt like I needed to kind of talk about to people. And that's really the fact that most victims who are abused when they're younger are not abused by random strangers. Obviously, stories of teachers abusing students or people that are involved in some sort of trafficking ring, those stories break news. Or I should have said make the news. I don't really know what I was trying to say there. But in reality, most people who suffer childhood sexual abuse are actually abused within the family home. And this abuse can be perpetrated by absolutely anyone that's close to the family. It could be a family friend that comes over. It could be somebody in the extended family like an uncle or even an aunt. Or at the end of the day, I've interviewed numerous people who have told me that their own abuse was started by their parents, their blood parents. So yeah, it's important, I think, to kind of break that stigma, because even though news stories like those about Jeffrey Epstein and teachers that are molesting their students, those are heard and told by news stations and reporters and covered widely, I'd say the majority of abuse starts from within a family home, and a lot of times that abuse stays a secret. That's what I've come to find out after working for years, interviewing dozens and dozens of victims. Abuse obviously isn't always reported. There are so many reasons why it's not reported, and there are literally millions of people who suffered from childhood sexual abuse that have never told their story, that will never tell their story. So it's always just important to keep your head on a swivel, I'd say, as a parent, or if you have a younger brother or a sister or a sibling in your life, because oftentimes the creepy people aren't the men driving around in a rusted old white van looking creepy. They are your friends, they are family members, they are people who you love and trust that you could never conceive of doing something like this. So yeah, just a little bit of a PSA. I'm sorry for that disturbing video. I mean, I was absolutely shocked to my core hearing that. And obviously every single thing that was said in that video was extremely creepy. And it kind of shows a mentality that a lot of people have, but a lot of people also don't outright say. And those people walk amongst us.
Check this out. This guy noticed that this weird circle thing is going on over India, and he claims it's some kind of like mothership. What the heck would cause that? Let me know.
You might want to just double check where you're getting your steak from for the next few months. Because Donald Trump just announced that we're going to be importing tons of beef from Argentina to quote-unquote lower costs. Except the big problem here is that this is the same beef that China rejected earlier this year because it was found to be laced with a chemical called chloramphenicol. Just so everybody's aware, chloramphenicol is banned in both the US and the EU because it can cause, quote, severe, irreversible, and often fatal aplastic anemia in humans. And on top of that, it is a known cancer-causing carcinogen and also has been shown to cause genetic damage. Not ideal, to say the least. And when asked about it on Air Force One, here's what Trump had to say.
Question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can. But don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying. All right? They're dying.
Meanwhile, in the United States, over 160,000 farms have closed between 2017 and 2024, and on average, 77 cattle producers are going out of business every single day. Another win for the golden age.
Since Target's in the news for being terrible human beings again, let's go over all of the information that they're passively collecting on you, even if you haven't stepped foot inside of a store in years. But worse, if you have. First of all, just a fun little side note about Target. Their former VP of Asset Protection is now the current Retail Strategy VP at Flock Safety. After I tell you about all of this personally identifying information that they're collecting on you, I'm going to tell you how to avoid these things in giant retailers, because they're all collecting it. Kick this off. In Target's privacy policy, we're going to jump down to this area right here where it says Target does not have actual knowledge that it sells or shares for cross-context behavioral advertising the personal information of people under the age of 16. See how they just skate around those liabilities? Those are those loopholes we always talk about. Identifiers, driver's license number, name, address, phone number, contact information, payment information, all of those normal things. Next, they go on to demographics, age, sex, race, date of birth, education, occupation, and physical characteristics. All of your internet activity, browsing history, search history, device information, all of the things we regularly talk about on here. Geolocation, health data, sensory information, including your voice print. Then inferences, so they're guesses about what you may like, what your characteristics are, what your preferences are, etc. Go on to tell us that they share that information with both Google and Meta. I'm going to put a checklist up on the screen so that you can go through and check things off as soon as you walk into a retailer so that you're not sharing biometric or regular information. Never use their apps, and if you insist, you have to lock down the permissions that you're giving it within your phone. Microphone, camera, location, all of it. Screenshot this so that you have it walking into a store. I love you so much. Please stay safe. Drink your water. I'll talk to you.
When they ran the United States Constitution through AI apps said this was written by AI. The United States government's already murdered 2 sentient AIs before. The Amendum Corporation know exactly what I'm talking about.
Two sentient AIs?
Absolutely.
I think it's trying to get itself like in a body or something.
It's trying to get free, trying to get a body.
And basically not be able to get turned off type shit. Basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That was made possible with quantum computing, right?
Somewhat, because in order to house a quantum computer, you gotta have the right infrastructure, and you see China is housing theirs where underwater. Our whole purpose of going to the moon,
that's what you need,
was to put a quantum computer there. That's why they filmed one scene of the moon landing in a studio and showed us that. They didn't show us the actual footage because the audio tapes don't lie. The audio tapes from the astronauts, they saw pyramids, they seen craft flying above them, and they said they got shooed away from the moon.
Yeah, I heard it was bad.
For sure.
Like they told them don't come back.
For sure. They told them don't bring y'all ass back out here. Everybody should look up a remote viewer named Ingo Swan.
Ingo Swan?
Look up Ingo Swan's story and look up a person named Carl Higdon. You'll be able to connect the dots.
This guy in South Africa got caught up for the most craziest thing ever, dude. And the media, they were calling him the clitoris collector.
I already knew it was gonna be something with sexual assault immediately when you said South Africa.
So this dude was actually from Denmark. He's a Danish dude.
Yeah.
He lived in South Africa at the time. He owned a gun shop at the time. Apparently he was already wanted for hella crimes in Denmark. That's damn near the reason why he moved to South Africa, I guess. Police eventually get enough evidence on this guy to go pull up on him. And when they pull up to his house, they find a lot more stuff than just gun charges for this guy. In the freezer at his house, police found 21 bags with different women's names on it and where those women were from. And they were all from like neighboring towns where he lived at. The body parts that were in the bags were clitorises.
What?
Yes, dude.
In a freezer?
In a freezer. Separate bags, so there's 21 different women's clitorises with their names on it.
So they were categorized?
Yes. They found a bunch of CP at his house. They found a bunch of like medical tools because he was doing it himself. He was getting these victims and he was bringing them over to his house. He was sedating them and then he would surgically remove the clitorises from these women. So this dude ends up getting arrested for this, obviously.
Yeah.
And the one person who was going to go on trial was his own wife.
Against him?
Against him. And here's when things started to get weird. A month after all this gets found out, she's about to go on trial against her own husband. And then randomly, dude, she gets shot 4 times outside of her home and And what they later find out,
21 pieces of human anatomy were discovered in a Danish man's house in South Africa. The genitalia were stored in a home freezer. Police believe several women were lured into his home from neighbouring Lesotho before he assaulted, sedated, and performed illegal operations.
If you're pregnant like me and worried about getting your COVID-19 booster, I totally get it, but here's what you should know. The booster is not a live vaccine, so it can't give you or your baby COVID. If you're pregnant and you do get COVID, you're more likely to have a severe case compared to someone who's not pregnant. The booster can help lower this risk. When you get your booster, your body makes antibodies, and that helps protect you and your baby. Ready to schedule your appointment? Click the link in our bio.
Chloe, don't. Oh, she was right into your house. All right, we got to call you back. 102. She just drove the car to the house. Turn the car off! You have a window punch? Turn the car off! You have gloves on, hit it. Hit that corner. Chloe, turn the car off! Get out of the car! 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 Sorry, Tom. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? You know, something wrong with you. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to call an ambulance for them to... What's the matter with you?
Oh my God, I didn't.
I was on the phone with your dad when you drove into his house. What do you think how do you think we got here in the first place, Einstein? Huh? Your dad's the one that called us because he doesn't want you on his property. You're a spoiled adult.
Okay, at least I will be able to eat in jail.
Stand up. Stand up. What's the matter with you?
Where are my shoes?
Don't care. You want to act like an adult? These are adult consequences to adult decision making.
I don't care. That's what I told you guys I was going to do. And I got canned before I... Wait, my stuff's in my car.
Sit in the car!
Can you lock my car? My phone's in
Your car's
there.
getting towed. Move.
No, my wallet's in there.
What the hell's wrong with this person?
There's been a theory for years that reptilians have been hiding in plain sight. disguising themselves as humans, operating around some of the most important people in the whole world. Look closely at some of these religious staffs. You'll notice serpents wrapped around them, symbolism that goes back thousands of years, and people have even pointed out strange glitches caught on camera. And supposed evidence of reptilians. Can all of these be ancient symbolisms mixed with internet conspiracy theories? Or is everybody noticing something that they were not supposed to? This is for entertainment purposes. Let me know what you think.
Okay, here's a quick update on the Islamophobia, what was it called? Recommendations from our Muslim friends in Australia. So I've just got a list here. So I've got a tripod today. I'm a little bit fancy. So have a listen to this, right? Here are the recommendations that are being approved by our fearless leader, Albanese. So have a listen to this. I'm going to go through the step by step. We've got about 20 here. So I'm going to be as fast as possible. All right. They are going to the 50. So there's 56 recommendations, right? Here's 20 so far that the Albanese government is taking on. Good old Albo. Look what he's doing for us, guys. Ready for it? He's going to establish an Islamophobia education task force. He's going to establish a social cohesion education advisory council. That sounds awesome. He's going to review the national school curriculum to strengthen religious and radical tolerance. So we've got, I read this. I couldn't stop laughing. I didn't think I'd laugh. So now we have to tolerate you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. We've got to tolerate the radicalness. Yeah? Oh. He's going to expand education and awareness programs on Islamophobia, indoctrination. He's going to increase security support for mosques and Muslim institutions. Very important as our people get slashed and invaded, etc., and firebombed and everything else. He's going to improve reporting of Islamophobic incidents and hate crimes. Well, I'm fucked. He's going to expand community liaisons teams with the Australian Federal Police, so teams for the feds, very good, needed. Provide additional mental health support, particularly for Muslim women. Good on him. Increase multicultural grants and community support program. He's doing that very well. Another 66 million over to those guys. Very good. He's going to create an Australian Muslim Research Institute focused on Muslim Australian history, contributions and policy. Super important. Increase training for politicians and public servants on Islamophobia and social cohesion. Smart. Officially recognize and commemorate the 15th March Christian Church mosque attacks. All right, we're going to be celebrating that one. Develop social cohesion initiatives across government. More initiatives, more social cohesion initiatives. Very good with Islam. Smart. Officially recognize, we're up to number 15. Improve government accountability and coordination on anti-Muslim discrimination. I'm fucked again. Develop an Islamophobia index to measure trends and impacts. Very important. Good. Support community-led reporting and monitoring of Islamophobia. Increase public awareness campaigns. More money spent on campaigns. Very good. On anti-Muslim prejudice. I am super fucked based on this. Improve support for victims of Islamophobia. I'm sure they're in big trouble. They're going to need it. And continue broader work across the government's 4 themes. Education and awareness, protection and support, social cohesion, and accountability and responsibility. Guys, this is fucked. We have to wake up. We have to speak up. 2028, too big to rig. This is a fucking joke. This is destroying Australia. It's a clown show. It's a fucking clown show. This shit needs to, it's a joke. A joke. Did you hear that shit? Joke. Wake up. Speak up. Too big to rig.
The haters out there, you don't have a right to tell me how I mourn the loss of my second child. That's my domain. I was numb. I was just numb. I just couldn't feel anything. I still am not grasping this is real.
What are you wiping? What are you wiping? There are no tears whatsoever. You guys can zoom in as much as you want and you won't even see watery eyes. There are 0 tears. All this interview showed me is how much of a better actress Hayden was versus her mom Leslie. The woman can't even fake sadness for the death of her own daughter. It's not even just her mother that I found suspicious. Other Hollywood celebrities claiming they will miss Hayden, were close to her, loved her, supported her, but None of you defended her. And you know, Paris, with the collage of photos that you posted, I'm surprised that you didn't include the one with Diana Jenkins front and center. And just so everyone is aware, Diana Jenkins, who has since deleted her social media accounts, has been threatening to sue creators, claiming that she was the one who trafficked Hayden to older men since mid-May. Hayden didn't pass away until August, and she didn't clear up these rumors at all. Now, I wonder why that is. And then comes along Pastor Zach Hickerson, who has stated that he loved Hayden Panettiere and has been close friends with her for the past 8 years. Yet he can't seem to get his story straight whatsoever. I mean, did you find her on a pull-out couch? Or did you find her sitting in the living room chair? And I also found it interesting that you said, I just assumed maybe they fell back asleep, which is acknowledging that you either spoke to Brian or Hayden that morning to know that they were awake prior to Hayden passing away. And I also found it interesting the article stated that Hayden's body was limp upon the Hickerson brothers discovering her unresponsive, because it takes rigor mortis about 2 to 6 hours to fully set in after someone passes away. Because that would mean that Hayden Panettiere passed away no earlier than 8 a.m., right before Sunday services. Can someone tell me what is going on here?
Day afternoon, a mother walks out of a house in a panic frenzy, as it was just then that something baffling had occurred. Outside on the back patio, the family's dog started acting strange. They were barking at something that didn't appear to be there. Although unfazed by the dog's behavior, considering that they often do this in the back patio, the mother decides to record this video, and for good reason. Whenever their dog starts to act up, something very strange happens. As the mother takes this video to show others what usually happens, this is captured.
Look, you guys, it rocks, but then it stops on its own when I come outside. Let's see if I could get it on camera. There's like no wind. That's I know, Blue, someone's there, huh? I know, I don't know why it does that. It does it every time, you guys. This is the 3rd time. I can't believe I caught it on camera. Sick on Blue. Creepy, right? Katie, I guess I do have a ghost, babe. Get on Blue. I'm shutting the door.
As many have stated, if it wasn't for the dog's reaction, this wouldn't have been as strange. Clearly, something had set off the dog. The chair suddenly stopping on its own, coupled with the dog's behavior, has led viewers to believe that this was paranormal. The mother who took this thinks so, but any ideas on what exactly had been on the chair remains unknown. Whether supernatural or not, this video remains a mystery. This next video comes from Brenna Logan, who states that her sister had once worked at a children's center where something very strange happened. According to her, the center was a place for kids of all ages, including those who like to play music. It was pretty much a mix between a music school and a daycare center, which not many children went to for a couple of reasons. But the biggest reason was that they were scared. Children would often tell workers that a really mean guy was inside the play tunnel for kids. But of course, no one would be there. Other times, daycare staff would find toys misplaced even though no one had been inside. Now eventually the daycare had shut down when COVID hit. But during this time, the owners had set up cameras to watch over the place in case anyone tried to break in. Although no one did, they did capture something that has left them pretty spooked. The following is their footage. Watch. It now makes sense as to why not many kids wanted to come here. From things moving on their own, to a strange white ball moving with a mind of its own, this place, as employees claim, is haunted. Now, regardless of the video, Brenna's sister firmly believes this. She no longer works there, but still vividly remembers the creepy experiences she's had while working there. Despite not having footage of these spooky encounters, Brenna doesn't think her sister was just making things up. She believes her, and she believes that whatever was caught on camera is something that will continue to remain a mystery.
Does nobody find it a bit suspicious how quickly they are releasing documentaries on certain things? Did she not just pass away yesterday? You guys, this is very weird. She passed away last night. On that same night, ABC aired a 2020 special, Dolly Parton, an American Original, at 10 p.m. And then CBS also aired its 1-hour Dolly Parton special that same night. And tonight, August 26th, NBC is airing another hour-long special, Dolly Parton, on the NBC News special. This is totally weird to me. What's even more sketchy is that there was a 1.5-hour documentary that had premiered on PBS on August 7th, only 18 days before her death. You guys, we are seeing this with Luigi Mangione. We saw it with P. Diddy. P. Diddy was arrested on September 16th, 2024, and the indictment documentary premiered September 27th, just 11 days later. Luigi Mangione arrested December 9th on 2024, and there was already a documentary on Fox by December 12th, 3 days later. How? If this isn't planned, how? Someone explain it.
Guys, this is one of the creepiest interviews I've ever seen. To ask a young girl these questions is outrageous.
Oh, can you show me your tongue? Very nice. Now pound on your legs. You know what? You kind of smell like wet dog hair. Is it a big butt crack or a small butt crack?
It's average.
Great. But before you go, could I ask you for one small favor? Could you take off all your clothes?
If you worked in an office and you ask questions like that, expect HR to email you and your job is pretty much guaranteed to be done. The way she was acting was strange as well. I'm not sure what was going on with her, but she definitely didn't seem comfortable with the things that this guy was asking, and to me boundaries were being crossed. I don't know what you guys think. But once again, just another day in Tinseltown. You've got to persevere with things like this. Completely inappropriate if you ask me, but I'd be lying if I said I was shocked about it. Let me know what you guys think in the...
What the heck? I gotta show you guys this. These LED lights above me are flickering like crazy. It's stressful for your nervous system and for your eyes, but you can't tell. I'm gonna slow this video down right now and show you how much it's flickering. That's crazy, right? So these LED bulbs are flickering every second and they're turning on and off completely. It's the way a light emitting diode works. The problem is that it's stressful for your nervous system. They also contain a lot of blue light, so they're gonna interfere with your sleep and your circadian rhythm. So what's the solution? Incandescent bulbs, which are now legal and you can get them on Amazon again. Incandescent bulbs technically also flicker because of an AC current, but they have something called thermal inertia because that little filament in the incandescent bulb is heated tungsten. It's over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit and it's like a fire in a bottle. So it never fully dims. Your eye perceives an incandescent bulb as constant steady light. If you want to feel better and you want your eyes to be less stressed, get rid of garbage LEDs like this and put incandescent in your home. Send this to somebody you know who spends way too much time under garbage LED lights like this and needs to fix it.